this is live. Uh-oh. Here we go. Are y'all ready? Let's see. I'm clicking live. Let's see what this is going to do.
Mark,
It's live.
auto right now. Make sure you're there right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I can't really get an idea of viewers. I don't know how to do this.
This is out of the way. Is this, you want it out of the way? Okay. How's that? That'll be out of the way. And then when we go live, I'll just,
It's actually live,
Your screen.
okay.
but we're gonna,
Your screen.
huh? I'm what?
I'll put this down, when I put it down, I'll put it down like that, and that'll be out of the way a little bit. How's that?
One person watching right now. Okay. Well, we'll try it and we'll just see what happens. Well,
Okay.
hello everybody, this is Frank Garner over at Frank's Tanks in Southwest Fort Worth, and this is my very first live interview, so there's a few bugs going on in here. I don't know how Lynn is feeling like that, but you're watching Being Frank. Lynn is a very good friend of mine now. He's a customer. He's been coming here for quite some time, but Lynn, can you tell us approximately how long you've been in the hobby?
Well, I got in the hobby about 5 years ago, and I started with a 90-gallon, and then I upgraded to a 120, and now I have a 300-gallon that's built into the house, and it's got all kinds of complicated control systems.
Well, Lynn, I've been over your house. It was a few years ago. I went by your house and enjoyed your beautifully automated system. Can you tell us a little bit about that system?
Yes. I've become an equipment geek, I think, but not necessarily a animal husbandry geek, so I'm still struggling with that. But I've got the equipment down pretty good. I have a system with a big fish room in the back. I've got it plumbed for water and sewer. The RO systems feed tanks upstairs for RO water. I have a chilled water system that I use for chilling the tank and air conditioning the fish room. I have two Feeling roller mats that feed my tank. I've got a large separate standalone skimmer, 12-inch, and I've got a refugium, 40-gallon refugium, and a 40-gallon sump, and they all feed together. And unfortunately, some of my tanks are upstairs, so I have to pump water upstairs and down. And water's heavy, you know.
It is. It's
So
very
it's hard
heavy.
to pump. So those are some of my issues. But one of the things I do is automatic water changes. I do those I do 2 gallons a day, automatic water changes. And I don't use an automatic top off. I feed from either the salt tank if it's not salty enough, or the fresh tank if it's too salty, to balance my salinity.
Well, Lynn, I know that you've been a big supporter of Neptune systems, and I know a couple of months ago you bought one of their latest and greatest, the Trident water analyzer. What has your experience been with that?
Well, I love it. I'm very, very pleased with it. It's right here. This box is and this is the front of it, and it comes in a box like this, and it sits on a shelf, and I do very little to it. It's pretty automatic.
So other than this Trident, do you have any other type of water analyzers or test equipment? And if so, how do you compare that or those items to the Trident?
Well, I've had a variety of the analyzers. The first one I got was the DH Guardian, and it was probably the first one out that measured alkalinity. And it's a good system. It uses drop titration for the alkalinity test, which is probably the best and most accurate type of analysis for it. And it's a good system, but it had a lot of user interface issues. It was very difficult to keep tuned up, calibrated, and so I've moved on. I moved on from the Guardian, which the Guardian cost is $700, and the reagent cost is low, something like $10 a month. And I moved to the Alkatronic. And the Alkatronic, I still have the Alkatronic. The Alkatronic's still in use, and it costs $900 plus reagent cost $10, $15 a month.
Do you remember what you paid for the Trident?
The Trident is $600, and the reagent cost is about $24 a month. You buy a reagent kit every other month, and you have to order that from Trident. So I don't think they're going to let you sell the reagent kits, at least not for now.
Okay. So very interesting. And I know that you use a third-party water testing system. So how do you compare those results to the results that you get using Trident?
They're reliable. The tests that are done are three, of course: alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. And those three are reliable in both. The Trident is reliable. Trident did something really wonderful. They made it simple. They have a very simple user interface, and it's a great piece of equipment for the average hobbyist. It may not be the best piece of equipment for a research chemist, but it's a good hobbyist from beginning level to way on up. And it's simple to use. It's easy to calibrate, and it's accurate enough.
So in terms of reliability, precision, accuracy, and user friendliness, how would you rate it?
Oh, it's the best in class. It's a good system, and it's what I'd hoped it would be. And for me, I run a calcium reactor. So if you were dosing two-part, if you had just the Alkatronic and you were dosing two-part, you would want to dose calcium and alkalinity. If you're running a calcium reactor like I am, it really just works. If the alkalinity's right, everything else is right. And so for me, it works really good. I just turn my drip from the calcium reactor on and off according to the needs of the system, and it's programmed in. And so that's how I do it.
Well, that's very interesting. So any other comments on your experiences? I know that you have some that you want to show the viewers a few graphs, but any other comments regarding the Trident?
Yeah, that's probably, can we do that now? Go over here to this. And let's see if I can get this thing fired up. This little block here is the block for the Trident, and underneath it, I'm feeding the block for the Alkatronic underneath it. So I'm getting Alkatronic readings and Trident readings together, both in Neptune. And from the Trident, I touch on it, and it gives me little graphs on three categories: alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. Touch it again, it gives me the reagents remaining. It says 82% reagents remaining, etc. Touch it again. Let's see here. And it tells me how many tests I have left. I have roughly 100 tests left before I need to refill my reagents. And it tells me that my waste collection tank is 44%, so I'll have to change it in the next few weeks. And then it has the setups and the software programming. And I just wanted to show you how easy the calibration is. In this business, calibration is very important, and it's always something you got to do just to keep it calibrated. And what they've done is made it very simple. If I touch calibration here, let's see, calibrate. I take my calibration bottle that comes from Trident, set it on and put my feed tube into the bottle, and it sucks up a sample. And when the sample's done, I match the numbers here with the numbers on the bottle and hit go, and it's calibrated. So it's very simple to calibrate. And what they've done, I think, is they've tried to take the idiot proof out of it. All the other ones that I have are more difficult to operate. The Guardian, Alcatronic is a little more difficult, although it's way better than anything that preceded it. And so I'm very, very happy with that. You can go back.
Well, this was a very fun and interesting first interview. Looks like we made it through it unscathed for the most
I
part.
got some more. I want to talk about MindStream. You know about MindStream.
I'm very familiar with the MindStream. They've been trying to put that thing out for quite some time now.
Yes. I think I heard about MindStream. Like I say, I've been in this business 5 years, so now I've been at 3 MACNAs. It was at all 3 MACNAs, but they never came out with it.
Right.
So they've been struggling to come out with this thing. And now they say they're in production. And they say they're going to be $995 plus $35 a month for a new disc. It's a small little thing you put in your tank, and it's going to have a little disc that you replace once a month.
Is there something that you think that you would try?
I think it might be pretty good, Frank.
Okay.
I do. I don't. The one thing that has got me scared is it doesn't sound like it links to Apex yet. So to me, I don't know that I would buy it till it links to Apex.
And my guess is that they're going to be working on
But I
that.
think they're working on it. So assuming it links to Apex, it might be pretty cool. It tests 10 items. And of course the 3 here, plus some others that are kind of key.
So do you know what some of those other 10 items that particular...
You can look it up on the MindStream website. There's one other reference that I would give you about Trident. The Mark Callahan, who's one of the MACNA people.
My friend, Mark Callahan.
He has done a very good comparison of the Triton. He unboxed the Triton. He unboxed the alkalinity tester. So if you look on YouTube for heads-up comparison, Trident to Alcatronic, it's a good video if you're trying to figure out which one to buy. And I kind of agree with him on things. The Trident's a pretty good machine. The Alcatronic is also a very good machine, but it's nice to have those other 2 elements, calcium and magnesium.
Sure.
For me, it's less important because I have the calcium reactor. For others who might dose the calcium, you really need to know the calcium. The magnesium never changes.
Well, I agree. Knowing the calcium is very important, as you know, in keeping SPS coral. So
Yes.
very, very important breakthrough.
I was going to tell you, I'm an SPS killer.
Oh, you've done fine. I've seen some of your stuff.
But I've learned a lot. And so I'm hoping that through the Trident, and I've already had 6 months of pretty good luck starting with the Alcatronic. So I think I'm getting there, Frank.
I think you've been doing good. I've known you, I guess, the entire period of time that you've been doing aquariums, and I'll tell you what, this is.
Let's do this.
I have really
third-party ICP testing. You want to do that?
I know that I'm familiar with that.
One of the key things about aquarium is that you want to know alkalinity, calcium, and all that. And one of the ways you can find out is through third-party ICP testing. The big dog right now is Trident, the German company. And they're expensive, and it takes a long time to get your tests from Germany. But it'll give you the same stuff. It just takes weeks, where Trident takes hours. So that's a big difference. The Trident, I have got this test and another one that I dropped, but this is how the Trident ICP test comes. And there's another one that is called NOS. It's not an ICP test, but apparently it tests for the two organics that you have to test for, nitrates and phosphates. So it's expensive. This is $49. The other one is $49. It's going to take you 3 weeks. So, but it's good. It has, they tell you exactly what you need to add. It's a great system. It's just expensive. There's another one. That's this one here, and this is what I'm using. It's Aqua Medic out of Loveland, Colorado. And it's not as fancy, but they give you all the key stuff. And if you go over to the screen, I'll put this up. This is my results. You probably can't see it, but I picked one where my water sample was good, and not all my water samples are good, so this one's a little old because some of my newer ones are not as good. But anyway, it gives me ammonia, nitrate, phosphate, nitrite, silica, potassium, boron, molybdenum, strontium, magnesium, iodine, copper, alkalinity, calcium, iron. So you get alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, and some other things. Most of the time you don't need other things, but what if you had a spike in ammonia and you didn't know about it? And what if you had a spike in copper and you didn't know about it? Things die when those kind of things happen.
They do indeed.
So if you send in water tests every few months or something, it's probably a good thing. So that's my theory is I'm going to send a water test in every month or two and get some of the detailed things, but then I'm going to rely on the Trident for my normal stuff. And also, I'm going to rely on Aqua Medic in particular for my nitrates and phosphates.
Well, very good, man. I'll tell you again. This is there anything else that you want to say specifically about the Trident system and how you would compare it to anything else that?
I think Neptune Systems has done a great job, like Apple Computer did in the 90s for the phone and the laptops and the Apple Computer invented the mouse. They invented a user interface that was beyond compare, and they have a very smooth system of punching the things into your phone and computer, and it's a very bulletproof, good, solid system, and it's made to make it easy for the user. And so they became the industry leader, and I think Neptune Systems is doing the same thing. They are, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I don't think Neptune was there. In the last 3 years, they've stepped up. They are now the leader. They are now the leader. Well, they probably were 5 years ago, but now they're really good. They're really coming into the Apple category. And I appreciate that. And Triton is an example of it. One of the things I didn't say, and I don't know.
You meant Trident.
Trident. We're probably going to have to send in your machine once a year or so, because they do so much of the calibration and things in the machine, and when they get off, it won't work right. So you're probably going to have to send it in. So I don't know the long-term reliability of this. Nobody does.
Right.
But it's a pretty good system, and even if you have to send it in once a year, it should be. I hope it continues to work that well.
Well, I bet it will. I have 5 systems in my store that are Neptune systems. I don't have a Trident running yet, and they've been running for years. So my guess is that Trident, they've done just as well with Trident. But Lynn, I really appreciate you taking the time out to come over to the store for this interview, my very first interview, and I look forward to some more. So
I have one other thing to say.
Well, you just say what you want to say, Lynn.
You know, this is not related to Trident, but you know, when you're using super glue, sometimes you have to twist the lid with your teeth to get the lid off. Did you know that if you get super glue in your mouth, you can stick your tongue to your teeth?
Well, no, I didn't know that.
Okay.
And I won't be testing your theory either. Hey, thank you all so very much for coming to us for our very, very first interview. I look forward to more. I know there are things about this, about my future interviews that I'm going to have to tweak. A little bit nervous. You could probably tell that. But look forward to the next episode of Being Frank. Hit stop screen.
Maybe we sold some of these. I think this Medic, this is